The world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo.
Really? There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. Tell me! Tell me! Tell me! Tell me! Where's my daughter?
It's funny how the colors of the real world only seem really real when you video them on the screen.
What does it mean to be human? Is it our capacity for empathy, our pursuit of truth, or perhaps something darker, something we don't like to acknowledge? Today, we're going to explore 4 films that dare to peel back the comfortable lies we tell ourselves about human nature. 4 directors who weren't afraid to hold a mirror up to humanity's shadow self. These aren't just movies, they're psychological excavations, and by the end of this video, you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about what drives us as a species. Welcome to the uncomfortable truth about who we really are.
Welcome to the real world.
In 1999, the Wachowskis created what seemed like a stylish sci-fi action film. But beneath the surface, The Matrix was asking one of the most disturbing philosophical questions of our time. Would humans actually choose reality if given the option? Let's be honest. How many of us would actually take the red pill? Morpheus offers Neo a choice that seems straightforward to our movie-watching minds. Of course, the hero chooses truth over comfortable illusion. But the genius of The Matrix is that it understands something fundamental about human psychology that we're often too afraid to admit.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? And I want to be rich. You know, someone important.
This scene, this moment right here, might be the most honest portrayal of human nature in the entire film. Cypher, eating his steak, fully aware it isn't real, makes the conscious choice to return to the lie.
Ignorance is bliss.
And can we really blame him? The real world in The Matrix is a hellscape. Cold, dark, eating tasteless gruel while hiding from killer machines. When Cypher says, ignorance is bliss, is he really the villain? Or is he just being truthful about what many of us would choose? Consider how we behave today. The average American spends over 7 hours daily staring at screens. Social media gives us curated, idealized versions of reality. We binge Netflix to escape our problems. We choose comfortable fictions over uncomfortable truths every single day. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Wachowskis weren't just creating science fiction, they were prophetic. In 1999, they foresaw a world where humanity would increasingly choose digital comfort over authentic experience. They understood that given the choice between harsh reality and pleasant illusion, many, perhaps most, humans would choose the blue pill.
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering.
Even the supposed villain of the film understands this truth. Agent Smith explains that humans rejected the first perfect Matrix because perfection was unbelievable. We need some suffering to accept our reality, but not too much. Just enough discomfort to make the simulation credible, but not enough to make us truly confront ourselves. The uncomfortable question The Matrix forces us to ask is, are we Neos, brave enough to face reality no matter how painful? Or are we Cyphers who would gladly trade truth for the taste of virtual steak? But maybe there's an even darker truth here. What if the real message isn't about choosing between reality and illusion at all? What if it's about our desperate need to believe we're special? To believe we're the one?
Not quite my tempo. 5, 6, and. Downbeat on 18.
Damien Chazelle's Whiplash isn't just a film about jazz drumming. It's a psychological horror movie about the monstrous nature of ambition and what we're willing to endure and inflict to achieve greatness. What makes Whiplash so disturbing isn't just Fletcher's abusive behavior, it's that part of us understands it. Even worse, part of us wonders if he might be right.
Not quite my tempo.
This scene, this absolutely excruciating scene, Fletcher humiliates Andrew, breaking him down psychologically, all while maintaining this facade of constructive criticism. Not quite my tempo. 4 words that become a psychological weapon. But here's the dark truth Whiplash exposes. We've built entire cultures and institutions around this kind of psychological violence. From elite sports to prestigious universities to corporate America, we celebrate those who push themselves and others beyond reasonable limits in pursuit of excellence. Fletcher isn't an aberration, he's just saying the quiet part out loud.
There are no 2 words in the English language more harmful than good job.
When Fletcher delivers his monologue about how the worst words in the English language are good job, we're meant to be appalled. But isn't there also a moment, just a flicker, where something in us responds to this? Where we recognize our own fear of the mediocrity? The genius of Whiplash is that it forces us to confront the violence inherent in ambition. Not just the violence we're willing to endure, but the violence we're willing to inflict on ourselves and others in pursuit of greatness.
Andrew, what are you doing, man? I'll cue you.
And then comes this final scene. Andrew bleeding on his drum kit, pushing through physical pain to deliver a transcendent performance. Fletcher watching with a mixture of surprise and pride. 2 monsters recognizing each other. Some viewers see this ending as triumphant, Andrew finally earning Fletcher's respect. Others see it as tragic, Andrew becoming what Fletcher wanted, sacrificing his humanity for art. But what if both readings are true? What if the film is suggesting that greatness and monstrosity are inextricably linked? The uncomfortable question Whiplash asks is whether Fletcher's methods, while morally reprehensible, might actually work. And if they do work, what does that say about human potential? What does it say about what motivates us at our core? Are we driven more by positive reinforcement, or by the fear of failure and humiliation? Does true greatness require breaking something fundamental in ourselves?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners begins with the Lord's Prayer and a father teaching his son about preparedness. Be ready for anything, Keller Dover tells his child before their world collapses. What makes Prisoners so devastating isn't just its premise of missing children. It's how quickly a seemingly good man descends into becoming the very monster he's fighting against. This scene, where Keller first captures and begins torturing Alex Jones, forces us to confront one of the most uncomfortable truths about human nature. Our moral principles are far more fragile than we'd like to believe.
It's your last chance. I know you're scared. I know you want to go home. Right? I don't want to hurt you. I don't.
The devastating irony of this line reveals everything. Keller has already crossed a moral boundary he would have considered unthinkable just days earlier, and he's lying to himself about it. Villeneuve crafts a masterful psychological study here. Keller Dover isn't an inherently evil man. He's a loving father, a hard worker, a man of faith. But when his daughter disappears, we watch in real time as his moral foundations crumble. What's most disturbing about Prisoners isn't that it shows a good man doing terrible things. It's that it forces us to ask ourselves, what would we do in his position? And the honest answer, the one we don't want to confront, is that many of us might make the same choices. Look at the methodical way Keller constructs this torture chamber, the precision, the planning. This isn't a man acting solely on impulse. He's making calculated decisions. With each hammer blow, each measured piece of wood, he's dismantling his former self. The film suggests something profoundly unsettling, that our moral codes are luxuries afforded by stability. Remove that stability, threaten what we love most, and those codes can disintegrate with terrifying speed.
And every day, she's wondering why I'm not there to fucking rescue her. Do you understand that? Me, not you, but me! Every day!
When Detective Loki confronts Keller, we see two different approaches to justice. Loki represents the institutions and rules we create precisely because we know how easily we can become monsters. Keller represents the primal, desperate parent who can't wait for those institutions to work. The brilliant tension of Prisoners is that it doesn't allow us easy moral clarity. We're horrified by Keller's actions, yet we understand his desperation. We respect Loki's restraint, yet we feel his frustration. The uncomfortable question Prisoners asks is, how quickly would our civilized veneer crack under the right pressure? What acts would we justify if someone we loved was in danger? And perhaps most disturbingly, the film suggests that the capacity for torture, for cruelty, for dehumanizing others, it's not something alien to good people. It's dormant within us, waiting for circumstances that might bring it to the surface.
There was me, that is Alex, and my three droogs, that is Pete, Georgie, and Dim. And we sat in the Korova milk bar trying to make up our Razudoks what to do with the evening.
When Stanley Kubrick adapted Anthony Burgess's novel in 1971, he created what remains one of cinema's most uncomfortable explorations of violence, free will, and the nature of good and evil. Nearly 50 years later, A Clockwork Orange still shocks audiences, not just because of its graphic content, but because it refuses to give us easy answers about human nature.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
This scene, the infamous Ludovico technique, presents the central moral paradox of the film. Alex, strapped to a chair with his eyes forced open, is conditioned to feel physically ill at the thought of violence.
I'm sorry, Alex. This is for your own good. You'll have to bear with us for a while.
But stop falling, not Whiplash!
You must take your chance, boy.
But can goodness that is forced upon someone truly be called goodness? If Alex only refrains from violence because he physically can't commit it, has he actually become moral? Kubrick's film presents us with a disturbing philosophical dilemma. On one hand, we have Alex's unreformed state, a sadistic criminal who chooses to inflict suffering for pleasure. On the other, we have the reformed Alex, incapable of violence but also stripped of choice. The genius of A Clockwork Orange is that it makes both options seem equally disturbing. We're repulsed by Alex's crimes, but we're also uncomfortable with the state's solution, making him good by removing his ability to choose evil.
And I have heard that there are very serious dangers involved.
I don't care about the dangers, Father. I just want to be good.
The question is whether or not this technique really makes a man good. Goodness comes from within. Goodness is chosen.
When the prison chaplain objects to the Ludovico technique, he articulates the film's central question. When a man cannot choose, he ceases to be a man. But this raises an even more uncomfortable question. If the capacity to choose evil is essential to humanity, what does that say about human nature? Kubrick forces us to consider whether evil itself, the capacity to choose it, to revel in it as Alex does, might be an inextricable part of what makes us human. In the film's disturbing conclusion, Alex appears to be cured, not just of his conditioning, but cured back to his original violent self. And there's a twisted catharsis in this moment that should trouble us. The unsettling suggestion here is that Alex's violent nature is somehow more authentic, more human than than his conditioned goodness. The final scene, with its sexual fantasy and Alex's declaration that he's cured all right, leaves us with the disturbing implication that his capacity for violence has been restored, and that this is somehow a victory for authentic humanity. The uncomfortable question A Clockwork Orange asks is whether goodness without choice is goodness at all. But beyond that, it asks whether our nature, our true nature when all social constraints are removed, might be closer to Alex's than we'd care to admit. Are our moral codes truly internalized, or are they mostly social performances? Would we remain good without the consequences, legal, social, religious, that enforce that goodness? So what connects these four films? On the surface, they couldn't be more different. A sci-fi revolution, a jazz drumming drama, a kidnapping thriller, a dystopian satire. But look deeper, and you'll find four filmmakers all circling the same uncomfortable truths about human nature. Neo, Andrew, Keller, and Alex, four characters who force us to confront aspects of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Our preference for comfortable illusions, our capacity for destructive ambition, our moral fragility under pressure, our disturbing relationship with choice and evil. These films suggest that beneath our civilized exterior lurks something darker, that given the right circumstances, or the removal of certain constraints, humans are capable of embracing illusion over truth, cruelty over compassion, expedience over principle. But here's where it gets interesting. These films don't just confront us with these dark truths and leave us there. They challenge us to recognize these tendencies in ourselves, not to surrender to them, but to be vigilant against them. Because these films also contain moments of transcendence. Neo's choice to fight despite the futility, Andrew's defiant artistic expression, Keller's desperate love for his daughter, even Alex's authentic, if disturbing, exercise of free will. Perhaps the ultimate message isn't that humans are fundamentally dark or light, good or evil, but that we contain multitudes, that our nature isn't fixed but constantly in flux, responding to circumstances, making choices, confronting ourselves. What makes these films masterpieces isn't just their unflinching look at human darkness, it's their refusal to provide easy answers. They don't tell us what to think about human nature, they show us its complexities and contradictions, then trust us to draw our own conclusions. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the dark truth about human nature isn't just that we're capable of moral compromise, violence, or self-deception, but that we're also capable of recognizing these tendencies, grappling with them, and sometimes, just sometimes, transcending them. The Matrix, Whiplash, Prisoners, and Clockwork Orange aren't just great films, they're mirrors. Uncomfortable mirrors that reflect parts of ourselves we don't always want to see. But true self-knowledge requires looking into those mirrors. It requires acknowledging the cipher in us, who might choose illusion over reality, the Fletcher who might justify cruelty in pursuit of greatness, the Keller who might compromise principles under pressure, the Alex who might find something authentic in transgression. Understanding these shadows doesn't mean surrendering to them. It means recognizing them so we can make conscious choices about who we want to be, not just when it's easy, but when we're tested. What do you think? Do these films reveal something essential about human nature, or are they just provocative fictions? Let me know in the comments below. And if you appreciated this deeper look at cinema's psychological dimensions, consider subscribing for more videos that explore the complex relationship between film and human nature.